OGDuffy with my first ever Q&A video. I asked you for some questions and I have been inundated. You have not let me down, people. I've had them emailed, I've had them messaged to me via various social media platforms, I've had many comments in videos with questions and everything else, and there's been that many. So firstly, apologies if I don't read your question out. But it is simply, I've had that many, honestly. And I think to make this a workable video, I've taken the most of the questions, okay? Which I think thematically will appeal to most of you guys, all right? Whew, now with that out of the way, as I say, there was a lot of questions, so I'm thanking each and every one of you that took the effort to send me one in, because honestly, you're amazing. I appreciate you all. And I mean that. I'm not just saying that. I mean it. And I will raise a beer to all of you because you know what? This Q&A session is going to be... I'm getting dry already. Thirsty work. Let's get a beer. As this is a special video, I bought some special beers. We're kicking off first with the Brooklyn Brewery, a Brooklyn Pilsner Crisp Lager at 4.6% volume. Never had this before. I'm assuming this is brewed by Carlsberg. If I'd have read that, I probably wouldn't have bought it. I'm not a big fan of Carlin or Carlsberg, to be fair. Anyway, let's pour it up. You know, let's not be judgmental before we've even begun this Q&A session. Right, now one question that has reoccurred massively, and it is the first question I'll be dealing with. So these good them big bottles. You get more beer, well you don't, you pay for it. Anyway, I digress. The one thing that the first few questions have in common is everyone's comment evolved around desert islands. What is it about us and desert islands? I know every now and then I'll throw it out there. You're on a desert island. You've got only one choice. Well, you guys have thrown that at me. Anyway, have to slurp a beer. Let's get that first question. Or questions, should I say. That's rather pleasant. Hey! Firstly, apologies, but I've had to write your names and questions down on a piece of paper. Of course I have, because my memory isn't that good. No. But anyway, the first question, okay, and this applies to a few of you, so this is a crossover from a few. I was asked, I'm on a desert island, right? I can only have one console and one brand of beer. Now, this was from Morty and his mate, Paul the Cage Rage. I love that, Cage Rage. Anyway, yeah, what a name. You should go to Wrestling Pal. Anyway, Morty, I'm on a desert island. I can have one console and one brand of beer. Well, I think we all know. Come on, what's the brand of beer I'm going for? I think you know, guys. It's a Stella Artois. Lady Stella will be on that desert island with me. Now, one console. Oh, what a question. I can't choose arcade machines, obviously, because you said console. I'll be honest, the problem with a lot of these questions, and I'll be saying this a lot, it depends what day of the week it is, what side of the bed I've woken up on. You know what I mean? It changes all the time. But as I'm feeling tonight, I will pin my answer on I'm staring at my PS3 shelf. And do you know what? I've got so many, I'm assuming I'm taking the games on the desert island with me, and I've got so many unplayed games on that system, it's going to be the PS3. And sticking on a similar theme there as Morty and Paul Cage Rage. I'm not going to tire of saying that. Another one, which was desert island related. This comes from Garlips, okay? And he said, "Oh, gee, you're trapped on a desert island. I've leapt from the plane, right? And I've got a beer fridge and I've got a generator." Very useful items. Quite how I carry them out the plane. Anyway, we digress. What 3 games am I bringing? My top 3 games. The rescue boats are on the way though, so I'm not going to need them forever. They're taking a trip to McDonald's and I'm told to park up. Very apt, my friend. So I've got to pick 3 games on this desert island. Blimey, this is a toughie. Because again, as I said, my attitude to games changed day by day. So Yeah, there's one standout, and it might appear a few times tonight, but I'm sort of gazing around the shelves. So, I'll tell you what, we'll go scan the shelves and we'll pick a few out. Okay, I've come over here, and I'll be honest, these never really crossed my mind until I just looked at them. Do you know what? I've got time on my hands. I've got time to kill. So I'm going to go with Super Star Wars, the first one. The reason being, that game is hard as nails. So I'm figuring, stuck on that desert island, I'm going to get plenty of practice in. That's either going to make me suicidal because it's going to do my nutting, or I'm going to complete the game. Yes, so that's number one. Game number two has got to be the mighty Tetris. I've chose the Game Boy version. To me, this is the finest. This might not be the last time Tetris shows itself on this Q&A. Oh no. But what a game. This could fill hours of your life. And it's a game you can never really complete. You can get better at it, but you can never beat it. Unless you play game mode B and you're going for the space launch. I've managed to get that. Hey. And the third game is going to be Street Fighter 2 The World Warrior. I'd probably go for the SNES edition, or arcade if I was allowed it, but hey, you know, maybe I'm just pushing me luck here. Or can I just take the whole games room to the desert island? Yeah, anyway, you said top three. So, and as well, with Street Fighter 2, I've never mastered all the special moves. I can throw a Hadouken, whatever it is, you know, the fireball across the screen, and I can fluke that spinny kick, but that's as good as I'll get on it, really. But I do love it, and I always have done, you know. I mean, it's a game I don't bore of. So, to be honest, that's not my all-time top three, because as I said, that will change on a daily basis, and depending on the mood I'm on, or in, should I say. Anyway, hope that answers the question. Carrying on with the theme of desert islands. Very dry on that desert island. And my man Scott Marathon Gaming asked very similar questions, again associated to desert islands from the previous ones. So thank you, Scott Marathon Gaming. I'll be coming back to you because you sent me some more questions, which I'm coming to later. Thank you, Garland. And of course, who can forget who kicked this one off? Oh yes, the Desert Island Fantasists themselves, my man Morty. And of course, oh yes, you, my friend, his mate, your mate, everyone's wrestling mate, Paul the Cage Rage. WWF, mate. Where were you back in the day? I tell you should have signed that man up. Anyway, next question. Next question was from Relic with 2 L's and an I and a K, not a C in there at all. Anyway, Relic, you asked me, what is my fondest gaming memory with little OG? Now, as you can imagine, when little OG was growing up, obviously video games were part of my life, so they soon become part of his. Oh yes, indeed. But there is one standout memory, and I'm looking down on the shelf, but I can't put my hands to the game now. I think it's up in the loft in a big bag I've got of Xbox and Xbox 360 games. It's an original Xbox game, and it is Halo. He would come home from school, right, and we would play it split screen, you know, screen down the middle. So I'd be on this half of the TV, he'd be on that half of the TV. So I could see where he is on the map and he could see where I was and stuff. But we used to just run around shooting each other with snipers and hiding behind rocks and that sort of stuff. But I tell you what, it was just such good fun. Although it was sort of split screen, so you had a sense of where each other was, it was just so great memories, they really were. Running to the Warthog and, you know, running him over, or him running me over, and yeah, getting the sniper rifle was always my favourite though. Getting up in the mountains, taking aim, silent scope style, but obviously all within the Halo universe, and shooting each other. There was one particular map, I can't remember the name of it, but you sort of had a base each end of it, and then we sort of meet in the middle or just hang around each other's base and wait for one to come. But that's probably my fondest memory with little OG in our early gaming days. Then he went on to MMOs. Then I lost him to the dark side of internet gaming. Mate, that boy loved his MMOs. He still does, but he doesn't play them anything like he used to. My God, he put some hours into Guild Wars. Oh, yes. Anyway, great question. Thank you. We go from Relic's very sentimental question to probably one of the hardest questions I've been sent. And I was in two minds to include it or not, but I thought, no, I will challenge myself. And you know what? Here in my noggin here, I still ain't got an answer. But I'm going to try it on the fly. But I'm going to need a beer for this one. This very difficult question come from Sean Cosgrove and his girlfriend, who are avid viewers of the channel. So thank you very much for your continued support and watching, guys. I'm looking for somewhere to stick me beer. Maybe that could be the answer to this question. Anyway, let's just pop that down. Beer gone, and the question is this. And I really still have no idea. Impossible to fail. So I can't fail at this. I cannot fail. One thing I would do in life, and it's impossible to fail at it. One thing I would do in life, and it's impossible to fail at it. Well, obviously, there's the obvious answers, which are, you know, find the cure for, research cancer and find the cure. You can't fail, so you're going to find the cure. But I'm guessing you want something a bit more innocent, you know, less serious, so to speak. But obviously, if you had a sort of decision like that, I think you'd have to, I don't know, be mega serious about it. But I'll be honest, this has really flummoxed me. And I don't often get flummoxed, guys. Oh, no. I'll tell you what, anything in life and I can't fail. Oh, dear. I would love to hear your guys' answers to this. Drop in the comments, please. As with any of these questions, and debatable ones, do drop in the comments your opinions. I'll be honest, Cosgrove, you've got me on this one, sir. Oh, you and your girlfriend, you've stumped me. You've stumped me. One thing in life, and I can't fail at it. Right, let's go for... here we go. I will become the West Ham manager. And I will take West Ham to new glories. We will win the Champions League. We will win the Premier League. We will win the FA Cup. Every season for my duration, or until I get bored. That's my non-serious answer to it. Yeah, I can't ever see West Ham achieving that, but hey, you know, never say never. A non-gaming related question now from my man Brad. He has asked, since you had the escape room, which I've mentioned before, business, what do you do for a living now? Well, the question is this. The escape room business was only ever a sideline. My main job is and always has been fostering. I'm involved with fostering, okay? And I was involved in education with special needs for a very long time of my life. Yeah. Everyone meets me and says, oh, what a rewarding job. But I think it's like anything. When you've done something long enough, you know what I mean? It just becomes sort of normal, doesn't it? You know? But yeah, that's what I've always been involved in. That's always been my number one business. So when we had the escape rooms, it was just a sideline business. But on top of that, COVID come along. And do you know what? I realised the importance of a weekend. Trust me when I say working 7 days a week is not fun. Work 7 days a week, they said. It'll be fun, they said. Guess what? It soon gets tiresome. I think it was either 18 months to 2 years. I literally worked 7 day weeks. Except for Christmas and obviously, well, even Christmas. I think you only got Christmas Day off because the escape room would open up again, Boxing Day and stuff. Anyway, I digress. Yeah, so that's what I do. I'm always been involved in fostering. My parents were foster parents and I was sort of born and bred into the industry, so we say. So fostering is my main job and always has been. And yeah, the escape rooms. And I think that's why I probably do the vlogging now, my weekend vlogs. Because I think I just love my weekends, trust me. And I think once you've done like them 7 day weeks for God knows how long, all right, it's only 18 months, 2-3 years of my life. But you know what? You soon appreciate the weekends. So thank you very much, Brad. Great question. Starchy Spud wants to know, favourite game franchise growing up? Very difficult question because when I was growing up, we sort of had it was the early days of gaming. I was born, actually. I'm very favourable when I was born because I saw literally every system from sort of Binatone right through, which we'll come to in some of these other questions later, trust me. But in terms of franchise, I suppose for me, my most memorable sort of genre of gaming at the time, it wasn't really a genre, was the ZX Spectrum, the Amstrad, the Commodore 64, you know, the kids, the posh kids in school that had the BBCs and the Acorn Electrons. Yeah, they usually have, parents had a bit of money as well. I didn't know many of them. But I'll tell you what, right, it's a cop-out because we didn't have the game franchises like you do today with your FIFAs every year and, you know what I mean, Call of Duties and everything else. You'd see odd, you know, follow-ups to games and things. But there was software houses. And there were certain software houses back in the day you'd get excited about. But there was one in particular, especially for their Sinclair ZX Spectrum games, that I used to get very excited about indeed. And that was this company. And that company was Ultimate Play the Game. They released classics, Attic Attack, Trans Am. That ran on 16K. I'm probably talking a different language to a lot of you younger people, but hey, stick with me. And psst, right? And I'll tell you what, Jetpack. What else? Oh, and of course, Lunar Jetman. Oh, who could forget that? And of course, there was Nightshade. Oh, there were so many great games. But Ultimate Play the Game as a software house, they never failed. Every game they brought out for the Spectrum was awesome. Mate, they cleaned up back in the day. Oh, yes. They were happy days. And do you know what? Still are happy days. Great question. Cheers. Next question is from High Score. He's also over on X, or Twitter, as it's often referred to still, and there's his tag, etc. Now, the thing is, right, he asks, what does the OG stand for in Duffy? Well, obviously, I'm Rob. That's my first name. My surname is Duffy. So the OG, those who listen to a lot of rap music will say, it stands for the original gangster. Yeah, and it does in rap music. But, my friends, I'm sorry to burst any bubbles, but I am not a gangster. In fact, I am far from it. But do you know what OG stands for me? Original Gamer. I'm the OG. My lifetime, I was born in such a great time, actually, because I had the Binatone black and white systems in the household, and I've said from there, everything that's been released since that, I've been lucky enough to see, own many of, and play many of. I've seen gaming go from that to what it is today, the monster that it is today. And for that, I'm very lucky. Well, I think I am anyway. So OG stands for Original Gamer. But unfortunately, as time goes on, it's also beginning to stand for Old Gamer. Bit of a clock, isn't it? Whilst we are over by the beer fridge, be rude not to get replenished. Because as I always say, it's important to stay hydrated, people. And we are going in for a Singer, a Thai traditional beer. Now, when I was recently in Whitstable, they had this on draft. Oh, and I'll tell you what, it's a lovely lager. It's 5%, so it's what here in the UK we now call a premium lager. Because, hey, the government tax us now on it because they don't want us getting stupidly drunk. But anyway, whenever I have a Singer, I always think of one of you guys, and that's Nugs. He follows the channel, and he's over on the Discord, and he everything I post up, he always posts in the comments or whatever. He's over in Thailand, and I always think of him over there, having a couple of these whilst running his shop. But anyway, so Nugsy, this one is for you. This is also for every single one of you for watching this. It might be a bit of a chore tonight, because like I say, I've only scrapped the top of the mountain of questions, really. But unfortunately, as I said right at the beginning, I can't do everyone's questions, because this would go on and Ariston. Anyway, Singer, I'm not going to tell you what it tastes like, because it's lovely. Oh, yes. He-Man 130 has asked me the question. What is your most nostalgic console and game? But he asked the question, why? Going to get a little bit serious on this one. Right, in terms of nostalgia, I could go on about the Mega Drive, I could go on about the SNES. I hold both of them in really high regard for sentimental value in relation to the first time ever playing them and been blown away about how good both were. But when it comes to sentimentality, or is that such a word, it has to be this. The Game Boy original, the original Game Boy black and white. Why, you ask? Well, it was one Christmas, so that would have been, what, 1991, was it? I don't know. What year? Was it 89? Oh, I don't know. There should be a date somewhere on there. Do you know what? I can't be bothered to look, but one of you will know. What year was this released? Anyway, I got it for Christmas. And I was probably 15, 16, or maybe even 17, I can't remember. And I got the box that come with Tetris, of course, and Super Mario, you know, the coins one. Oh, that was a great, great game. Super Mario Land. What a game that was. And what a package to get. You got all your accessories, you got a connection lead and everything else. But why is it nostalgic and sentimental? Well, to me, them two games that come with this just made it amazing. But it's a lot more personal for me, and it is this reason alone. And it is this, Tetris. I said it would make another appearance, didn't I? Now, my old dad, bless his soul, he'll be gone 5 years in July. He, not interested in video games at all, you know, showed no interest because he was a certain generation. They weren't brought up with video games like I was. So he had no interest in video games. But I'll tell you something. I remember him one day, it was Christmas, I'm playing that Tetris, and I think that tune, that little tune might have got in his head. What's that then? I said, I suggest you put these pieces in. Do-do-do-do-do-do. You know the score. Anyway, he says to me, he says, oh, yeah, have a go. I didn't want to give it, hand it over, to be honest, I was hooked. Anyway, alright then. That was it. I lost the Game Boy. I lost it to my mum and dad that Christmas. Where's your Game Boy, son? Where's that? You know, oh, I'll just have a little go. It's the only game he ever played in his lifetime, video game, and he loved it that much. One Christmas, years later, I bought him his own with Tetris, right? And every holiday he had, when him and mum used to go to Lanzarote, they loved Lanzarote, bit of winter sun and all that. He'd go maybe sometimes 2 times a year. He loved it. They'd go out there and he would pack that every time. And he would sit, when he's waiting for mum and they're going out in the evening or whatever and she's getting herself ready, he would sit on the balcony in the sun, you know, the sun's going down with a cold beer or cold whatever, and he'd play Tetris. It was always his go-to and he put so many hours into it. So, a really great question, but that is why it's so nostalgic to me. Sentimental, actually, that one really, isn't it? Anyway, what a game. What an old man he was, I'll tell you. Anyway, next question. Scott Marathon Gaming, he's come forward. Best co-op game, OGDuffy. No explanation needed. If you grew up my age and you attended arcades, then this was the game back then. Don't get me wrong, it's not perfect. It suffers from slowdown in areas. But Double Dragon, oh, in terms of co-op, what an amazing game. I mean, you have to work together as a couple of brothers to go and rescue the lady, because, hey, that's what every 80s, 90s video game was about back then, especially in the arcades. Go and rescue the woman. It was, wasn't it, really? I mean, Kung Fu Master, they're all like, go and rescue your bird's been kidnapped, go and pick her up. Anyway, it was days before Uber. But this was really good. So you had to either help each other, but equally, you could attack each other. This is probably one of the only arcade games I can remember people literally queuing up to play. Where I lived anyway, everywhere you went, it was always a busy machine. But the one memory I have of this above everyone else, or above every other memory is, I'll tell you what, right, it was a local arcade, and this lad used to get on it, and he wouldn't get off it. Bear in mind, we're all mooching about waiting to get on there, and you give up and go and play something else. But sort of we'd queue in the end, but he'd get on there and he'd stay on, right? But he was horrible. He was a horrible little git, he was, I'll tell you. He'd get on there, and then he'd attack the enemies, but then he'd get hold of the baseball bat in the game, and he'd come for you. Yeah. You'd invested your money, you just wanted to spark him out. Little. So it was only about 8, 9, I suppose, but it was horrible. It was horrible. It was this mission in life to upset you. And he'd just come after you, and he was good at it. And he knew like the elbow move and all that. If you know the elbow move, you know exactly what I'm talking about. I'll save that for another video for another day. But the laugh was this. He couldn't be on his own in the arcade doing it. Oh no, he'd have been pummeled. He had to go with his mum. His mum, I'm not joking, she would be stood next to him, the other side of the cabinet, and she was there for hours. Whilst her little darling, he's probably in politics now. But anyway, honestly, great question. Co-op game. It's got to be Double Dragon for me. It spurned the whole genre. That's as good as it gets. Trust me. Scott Marathon Gaming also asked my favourite 3 films. My top 3 films. Again, an impossible question because it changes like I change my underpants daily. I don't know, it changes by the day. Obviously, Star Wars is there or thereabouts. Has to be the original trilogy for me, but we'll come to a question which is for you guys to answer in the comments shortly. Other films that I think are absolutely amazing. Pulp Fiction, that did something to me the first time I ever saw that film. I thought that was an amazing bit of cinema work. I love Gangs of New York. I think that is an amazing film. I've seen it God knows how many times. There's just so many in there. Wolf of Wall Street, that's another great one. But of course, all the Star Wars films, but the original trilogy are amazing for me. Now, the question is this, that I want you guys to answer in the comments. Me and my mate Al, who appears on the weekend vlogs very, very often, he says we quite often have this debate. If we were on a desert island, yes, that desert island is back again, would I have the Star Wars film, the original trilogy, or would I have the original Lord of the Rings trilogy? Do you know what? I think I'd go for Lord of the Rings. What would you have? Drop it in the comments. The reason Lord of the Rings? A lot more layers to it, isn't there? Oh, yes. Next question is from Daz. He's also a member of the Discord, so thank you very much, Daz. And he asked a question. It's about modern gaming. Is it overpriced? That's a great question in itself, but there's more. Is it overpriced? Is it? What's the future of it? And is it all going to be like cash farming and that sort of stuff? I think the thing is with modern gaming, I'm probably not the greatest person on the planet to answer that, Daz, to be honest, because I play it very little. I sign in, I've got an account with Xbox for their monthly pass thing, you know, where you have access to all the games that you want and that sort of stuff. Well, not all the games, you know, about 100 titles, and they change them up and bring new games in and stuff. So I do dabble in and out, but I see what you mean. I think the only games I can relate to it are on my phone. There's a few games I play on my phone. There's a new one I installed last week that just come out, and I have to say I'm really enjoying that. Can't tell you what it is. Well, could if I looked it up. I'll have a look in a minute. But anyway, is it overpriced? And I think, yeah, the way it's going to go. There's a question coming up that will touch again on this, but in a very different way, and I think that will answer the question about is it overpriced. I think. If we look back in game prices, I mean, when we used to go and buy SNES games and all that, and I mean, if we knew someone that sold import games, because we had our little import traders and all that, that would have cost you maybe 80 to £100. Well, no, maybe not. Anywhere between 50 to 80 quid, say, you'd pay for an import copy of that to get it. You know, when it first come out and all that, you would. So I think in terms of sort of looking back at the SNES and the Mega Drive back in the day, it's probably not gone up a great amount. But I mean, a lot of it now is digital download and all that sort of stuff. And as I say, this is such a difficult question because there's so many layers to this question and so many different levels and questions that spin off from it. So it's a really hard one. I'll be honest, that is why I love arcade games so much, because you can jump in, right, 2 minutes, 10 minutes if you're good, and you know you've had your little fix, you had your game buzz. That's why I've not completed as many games as I would like, because you have to invest hours and stuff. But yeah, it's a really good debate, and I think it's one for you guys in the comments. I think it's open it up to everybody, you know. Modern gaming, what do you think? Are you a fan of it? Do you not think it's original enough? Do you think it's just like, yeah, I'm not sure about these buying bits and all that. But hey, I think it is the future. It's been about for a long time now. Maybe it is the way game is going, unfortunately. Or fortunate, I don't know. I'll be honest, that's a tough question, my friend. A tough question. The next question is from Samiv Gaming. He's also over on the Discord, so thank you for the questions. And he asks this: would I ever own a PS5? But his second question, which leads on from what Daz was just asking about modern gaming, is what do I think about the new Grand Theft Auto trailer? Now, I think that's a great question because it ties in very nicely with what Daz just asked. So, nice one, Samiv Gaming. Right, anyway, I'll tell you what. Would I own a PS5? Little OG has a PS5, okay? He's also got an Xbox Series S. The PS5 gets little to no use at all. It's just sitting there. It's collecting dust. He even said to me, if they want to buy a PS5. So watch this space. I might acquire one. I might not. I don't know. I don't think he was over-enjoyed. But I think he tried installing some game and it was playing up and then he had to reinstall, and in the end he got so bored with it. I think he's just collecting dust now. Anyway, but the Grand Theft Auto, new Grand Theft Auto, I think this is going to be a key player in the future of gaming prices for new AAA releases. I really do. They haven't hinted yet at what it's going to be priced at. Apparently the date of release has been brought forward, but I think it's going to be an amazing game. I think it's going to live up to the hype. You're obviously going to need, you know, the great new sort of systems to play it. But I think the concern will be the pricing. I can't see it being cheap at all. I personally think it'll be in excess of 100. I really do upon release. But my concern isn't so much that. I mean, if you're paying £100 for a game of that quality, that if it delivers and you can get that many hours of play out of it, then let's be honest, yeah, that's not so bad. But my concern is AAA titles following the release of that will then be looking at, say, charge similar. They'll be looking at their model to see how they do it. And I think that, you know, the likes of Call of Duty, dare I say it, FIFA, but I think then people will be jumping on board, and I think this will be the acid test, so to speak, for the future of the gaming market in terms of the price structure as we go forward. I mean, personally, it doesn't really affect me. I've got so much stuff here to play, so I don't really go in for the new stuff unless it's on the Series S, and I think, oh, well, yeah, I'll give that a play, because, hey, I'll pay me however much it is. 30 quid, is it? Subs? Is it less, 20 quid? I'm not sure what I pay. But, yeah, so I might give, you know, a modern game a play. But in terms of, will I own a PS5? Maybe, maybe not. But GTA, the new one, it's looking awesome. That trailer was so hyped. But like I say, I think it's going to be a telltale for the future of gaming. And I think that is a question for all of you. Great question. Let's get a debate going. Drop in the comments on that one. Anyway, enough from me. Let's get hydrated. Next question again relates to modern gaming, namely Fortnite and the likes. This is Andy Appleyard, and he asks the following. Okay. Gaming, next 10 to 15 years, is it going to be free to play? Are we going to have to pay for the upgrades, etc, etc, etc? Very similar question all about the sort of the future of gaming. The reason he asks though is because this game here, Fortnite, is costing him a fortune. His 13-year-old son is obviously playing loads of Fortnite. I don't know, do you have to pay for the skins and all that on it? I'm guessing you do. I don't play Fortnite, but, here, confession for you. I fancy it, but apparently there is a system on there that is no build game. We just run around shooting people. If that's a thing, do drop in the comments for me, please. Because if so, I'll go and give it a play. I'm not sure how, but maybe we could even link up and play online. You could protect OG while hiding in a corner somewhere. Anyway, so 10 to 15 years, how do I see games going? Personally, it doesn't affect me because of the collection I've got. I've got enough games here to last me a lifetime, the rest of my lifetime. So, but to be honest, how's it going to go? We're going to get the odd original concept come through. Of course we are. I mean, the new Grand Theft Auto is one I'm particularly looking forward to. along with the new Fight Night, Undisputed. Yeah, that can't be soon before that's out, really, can it? Drop in the comments if you know, when's Undisputed due? So, I'm still excited for some titles, of course I am, but do you know what? They're not original, are they? I mean, we've had plenty of Grand Theft Autos now. And of course, you know, alongside that, we've had plenty of the sort of Fight Nights and everything else. So they're the two modern games I'm looking forward to. But in terms of originality, could do with something new maybe. But yeah, will the games be free? Probably. Will they start charging you to buy the bits? Probably. Next question is from Thou Shalt Play More. And it's very apt to his name, Thou Shalt Play More. And he's asked this: how many games have I completed this year? I'm guilty. I don't play as many games as I should. I think that's why I play so many arcade games. But I have completed 3. Sorry, yes, only 3. Double Dragon. I probably play that every 3 or 4 months from start to end. Don't need many credits in the first few stages, but towards the end I have to pump a few more credits in. I've completed this as well, Aliens by Konami. But again, towards the end I have to pump loads of credits in. But such a great shoot 'em up game. And then of course there was Orcs Must Die 3. What an amazing game. I stumbled across it on the Xbox Series S on the Xbox store, you know. And over the years I'd played on PC, Xbox, Orcs Must Die 1 and 2. And when I didn't even know there was a third, and I got well excited. I downloaded it and I played it probably every night for a good hour or two when Mrs. OG would go to bed, because it's on the main TV, my Series S. So I don't like disrupting her TV watching, bless her. So I'll wait for her to go to bed, then I'll get on there. And I'll have a few late nights. But I finished it and I was well happy, and it's such a great game. So unfortunately, only 3 games completed this year so far. Thou shalt game more. Yes, I should really. Very apt. Kyle Wells is the next question, and it's West Ham related. Oh yes. He's the fella who sent me the Jack and Daxter trilogy for PS3 collection, so thank you very much for that. I did give it a play, as you saw on that vlog. Right, okay, he says, why do you only watch the West Ham European games and not the home Premier League games? Okay, I do watch a lot of the home games, alright. I was a season ticket holder at the new stadium. I think, was it the first 2 or 3 seasons we were there, I had a season ticket. I loved it. Every other Saturday, me and Mrs. OG would go. But the problem is, we then purchased the escape room, and before you know it, we set up and running another business at weekends. So I had to get rid of my season tickets because they weren't valued for money, because I was just working. So I couldn't even go if I wanted to be fair. But no, I do watch a lot of the league. I just probably don't vlog it like I do the European games. I think because European games, they're all on sort of a BT Sport. Or has that changed name recently, isn't it? Yeah, BT Sport. And obviously, you know, you can't always get the league games, can you? To be honest, if it's a Saturday afternoon, I'd rather be down the pub, watch the results come in that way. But no, I do love me Hammers, and I'm a happy Hammer. But I'm not one of these football fans who gets upset when they lose. And I think that's all been behind West Ham, really. We're sort of raised and used to taking the rough with the smooth, so to speak. So, Carl, up the Hammers, sir. Next question is from Retrohead, and he asks a very simple question. Oh, yes, it's 50-50. He says, Mega Drive or SNES? It might be a simple question, but that answer is not so easy. I had this console first. Now, the first ever game I ever played on a Mega Drive, and I've never seen a Mega Drive being played before. I've seen screenshots, but I've never physically played one. I put Sonic in, and I remember just being absolutely blown away by Sonic Hedgehog 1. I was like, wow. I said, and in my head, I said, this is the death sentence for arcades. I've now got a true arcade experience, graphically and everything else, in my own home. And I remember actually in my head saying that. I said, wow, I was blown away. We've got arcade in our own home. And then at a later date, I was working at the time. I saved a bit of coin, and my dad, bless his soul, took me to Toys R Us, where I purchased a SNES. the Street Fighter 2 package. Enough said. So you had that, you had that. I call this the greatest console war of all time. Simple, because they were such both great games consoles. Both had positives, both had negatives. Can I pick one? Retro Head, mate, sorry. That's a tough question. Can I pick one? On a Monday, I like this. On a Wednesday, I like this. Honestly, it's that close. Both have their positives, both have their negatives. Although the negatives ain't really that many in either system, to be fair. It's a great question, but I'm not giving you a straight answer. Sorry. Time for refreshment, people. We're on the Asahi now, which is a nice Japanese brew. I've had this before. It's I think it's 5%. I will look at the label. It's a Japanese brew, as I say. It's called. It describes itself as super dry, a bit like the cloves. But this is actually, strangely, in the UK, it's brewed in Faversham, which isn't far from me, which is where I run them escape rooms when we had the escape room business. Yeah, I'm sure it's brewed in Faversham. Oh, do you know what? I can't be bothered to look. Anyway, nice beer. It's very nice. It's very dry, wet, and hydrating. So anyway, the next question. A few of you have asked this, so it's a joint question. I'm going to encompass this into a lot of you, okay? So this relates to sort of 4 of you, really. I mean, Zenbloke asked me a question about YouTube, which is slightly different, which we'll come to. And then I got Jake Hutchian and DB Gaming and Mr. Fruity Passion. Okay, well, Zenbloke, he asked me what are some of the other channels I watch on YouTube, and what does a young OG look like? Well, do you know what? Sadly, I thought about this. I thought, have I got photos of me as a youngster? I know my mum has the old, like, original sort of pictures, Polaroids and stuff. But I could tell you what, when I was about 15, 16, right for about 19, I think I had really long hair. I was a right old headbanger, mate. Yeah, I was. I had a really long hair. Probably come down to about there, my ponytail. And my mum cut it off because I asked her to. When I got about, was it 20? About 20, I suppose. I thought, well, I've outgrown that now. Chop it off. So I did. I chopped the hair off. Anyway, I never looked back. So I will try and look for an old picture, but if I found one, then it's appearing on screen for you now. Or it's a fresh one from Facebook, which is probably about 10 years old. Sorry about that. If that's all I've got, that's all I've got. And he asked what other channels I watch. Right. It's really difficult with the gaming niche that we're in, retro gaming. There are so many retro gaming channels now, especially UK-based ones, you know. There are loads of us out here doing this stuff. All pretty good, you know. So who do I look at? I don't watch any religiously because, I'll be honest, I spend so much time producing and doing my own stuff that I don't have time to sit there and watch all the other tubers. I really don't. I wish I did, but I don't. I dip in and out. Who do I watch? Obviously, there's the obvious. Like, Retro Ghetto is quality. Who else? Yeah, I have some little ones for you that I watch. Retro Ed, he's cool. Has some decent pickups. Oh, blimey. You put me on the spot here. Who else do I watch? I say there's so many, I'll just dip in and out and in and out. Rogie Retro Gamer. I love Rogie. I think he's quality. Big old boy. Locks his Vimto. Quite often people... I had... Rogie, if you're watching this, I had one of your videos playing and actually Mrs. OG coming through it. That sounded like you. She said we sound the same, mate. Ho-hum. There's a doppelganger. Anyway, yeah, he's quality. And I'll tell you what, Rogie, he's got a brilliant collection. And he films up in his loft. Yeah, but he doesn't show you his collection fully or anything. But I'll tell you what, it's behind him. It's great. But honestly, there's so many in this niche. And I watch so many. I just dip in and out. I really do. But like I say, my main focus, to be absolutely honest, and I'm an honest fella, is I spend so much time recording and editing and doing all my socials and everything else and other things I've got coming, which I won't announce yet, it takes most of my time, to be honest. So quite often I'll probably watch YouTube when I go to bed or whatever on my phone. But anyway, the other YouTube questions were, how did I get into YouTube? And this was asked by Jake Hutchian, DB Gaming, and Mr. Fruity Passion. Right, and we'll come to DB Gaming because he says he really wants to start a channel, a retro gaming channel. I'm assuming you want to do retro gaming, sir. Anyway, to answer what got me into YouTube, well, originally COVID come along, we were all stuck at home, weren't we? So I went on Amazon and I bought a camera for my PS4, and I rigged my PS4 up to the camera, and I just hit the live stream button, and I just started live streaming, and every night my sort of family and friends would come on and we'd just chat while I was playing games. So I started out streaming. That's probably why I chat so much when I'm doing videos and things, you know. And then I realised I was uploading them to Twitch and everything else, and then I started doing quizzes for the Escape Room business via Twitch, and I was getting some good views on that, and I thought, yeah, you know, it's all right. But then I realised Twitch is great. There's no longevity in it. You're a live streamer, and then after 30 days or whatever, your videos get wiped off. And I said, what's the point? I can come on here on YouTube, create, make, edit videos, put them all together, and by doing it that way, I find that it's, you know, it's a bit better, I think, anyway, and they've got longevity. They're there. They don't go away. So I'll live on forever. But honestly, there's loads of people in this niche. It's a very populated niche, but you know, just give it a go. If you've got a phone in your pocket or whatever, I could go on all day about this sort of stuff, and it'd bore a lot of you because we're talking about the algorithm, analytics, all that sort of thing. And I'm obsessed with all that sort of stuff. I'm always looking at it, but I'm not going to go into it here because it's not the right place. But yeah, anyone got any questions about that sort of stuff? Yeah, maybe we should do it on a separate video, maybe on another chat, I don't know. But anyway, that's the main reason I got into YouTube. First video game I remember playing. This is from William and Daisy Beard. All respect here. Now, I'll be honest, this is such a hard one for me. It's probably, if I'm being honest, it's probably the Binatone, you know what I mean? The Pong style bat and ball type games. But there's one game that has a very, very early memory for me, and it is this. It was a simpler time, people. Oh, yes. My parents had to work, so they'd go off to work. So if you were ill and you had to stay at home, your parents never took time off for that work then, back then. They had to still go to work, so you were on your own at home. Different times, doesn't happen like that so much now, okay? But anyway, I was on my own. And it was great because I had the use of the Sinclair ZX81 all to myself. Hey, my brothers were at school, and so it was down to me. And I had this game, and I recently, probably about 2 years ago, repurchased it for the memories. And it was this Fantasy Games. And it's probably now where my love of role-playing games and that everything else started. It was several little games, if I remember. Oh, 2 role-playing games, adventure-style games. Now, they were really, really simple graphically, ZX81 games. I mean, now, if you've got a youngster who's playing Fortnite or whatever, and I'll put this on, they would look at it, they would laugh and walk away and say, I'm not being rude, why am I wasting my time on that? To them, it would just probably look like a calculator. But back then, gaming was very different. So if you look at the artwork, that was what sold it to you. And that implanted here. And then when you played the game, it was there. Don't get me wrong, there's just something absolutely brilliant about that. Well, it was to me. And I had it to myself, and I played that for what seemed like the whole day. Just playing little quests and everything else. Great little game. Not the first game I ever played, but probably one of the first memorable games I ever played. Great question, thank you. Matthew has asked my favourite PS3 game. Oh dear, where to begin? Now, as you can see here, I've got quite a few games. I'm approaching 300. Of them 300, how many have I played? About 40. So, any games here that stand out to me? Well, aside the obvious, your AAA titles, I'll be honest, we're not going to go there, but some unique games that I have played, and be honest, I've only scratched the surface of this system, are probably Catherine was a real standout title to me, right? Simply because of its, excuse the CEX stickers, you know me, I do like keeping a CEX sticker on there. It's truly unique storyline and puzzle style play. It's the most weird game, but in a good way. So that was a standout. So I'm not going to give you a clear answer here, am I? Others that were clear, great standout games. Oh, blimey. Oh, dear me. Oh, you've really got me going here. See, I'm going down. Oh, Dragon's Crown. That was interesting. Yeah. If you like voluptuous characters from role-playing games, then you will thoroughly enjoy that. It's different. It's unique. It's different. But all in all, as I say, there's so many games on this system that are so cheap. Do jump on board before they start rising. I don't think they're going to go nuts in price, don't get me wrong. But you know what? There's so many great games and they are just so cheap, honestly. And they're still quality. They still look good. But anyway, if you watch a channel, you don't want to hear me banging on about PS3. That's all you ever hear from me. But there's one game I want to look out for you. Which one is it? And it is here. This needs a genuine shout out. And when I was watching Roger Retro Gamer, he shouted this out as well. I mean, that, right, to buy now, I think it's about £1.50, £2, maybe £3 tops you'll pay for that in CEX. But that, great game, great storyline, awesome. So I hope that goes some way to answering your question, but unfortunately, too many games, not enough time. And 2 questions to finish off. First one being, what was your first console, from Sean? My first console was probably one of those Binatone black and white TV jobs, you know, the Pong, bat and ball, which I mentioned earlier. But I do remember having an Atari VCS or 2600 coming into the home, and had that wood grain plastic on the front that was oh so sexy back in the early 80s. Late 70s, early 80s, actually, wasn't it? But anyway, we got one of them, and I think how we acquired it, my eldest brother did some sort of trade with some fella who he knew, his mate, or his mate let us borrow it or whatever. And I do remember he had Freeway on it, the chicken crossing the road. It was sort of a Frogger clone, but it was just Freeway, just a chicken crossing the road. Yeah, there's a joke there somewhere, but we ain't going now. And the other question, the last question of the night is, OG, where does your love of arcade come from? Was it an arcade near you, or was it when I visited the seaside? I love this question. BMCA asked where my love of arcades come from. Was it one local to me, or was it when we went on holidays, seaside, etc.? To be honest, both. When I moved from London to Kent, I was lucky enough to have arcades probably 8-10 miles from where I lived, but it was a train ride, so we'd only sort of go there the odd Saturday, me and my mates. But I remember Rolling Thunder and that sort of era of gaming from that time, and Double Dragon, the rest of it. Of course, which I mentioned earlier. Oh, I do love that game. Anyway, every holiday I can associate to video games. Wherever we went in my youth, I can remember games being present in certain arcades, in certain locations and everything else. So for me, I think gaming, especially arcade gaming, has always been part of my life. And the memories just all come back. I mean, every time I walk into an arcade, even now, it's not the same. It's not as nostalgic these days. But you used to have the smell, the ambience, the sounds, the light, everything, you know what I mean? It would get all the... Imagine a load of cabs, lines of cabs, all the sound going on to try and entice you in, plus sort of the smell of cigarette smoke and all that. Yes, because we used to smoke in arcades back then. Some arcade machines even had ashtrays attached to them. And a lot of the arcade machines had cigarette burns on it where someone would go... put the fag down and then carry on, you know, playing the game, etc. Yeah. Oh, mate. Shocking times, but true. It was what it was. I mean, you could go to McDonald's back then and They had ashtrays in McDonald's, little silver ashtrays. Yeah, you could smoke in McDonald's restaurants. Oh, yes. don't know if that was better times or not. Anyway, we digress. So arcades have always been part of my life. They always have been. And I think especially because back then, your systems back home were so simple that when you went to an arcade, you just saw graphics and sound and everything else. It was just so outstanding. You just didn't have access to that sort of gameplay at home. And then, of course, the Mega Drive and the SNES and that come along, and I think that was the death knell, really, for sort of arcade video games. It started going down from there. But we digress. Anyway, on to you, people. Comments. I want to hear your thoughts on all of these questions about modern gaming, your gaming experiences and everything else. Have you enjoyed this Q&A? It's not something I'll do regular. Of course I won't, because, mate, this is probably going to edit into a good while, this one. But you know what? I've enjoyed doing it. Thank you for your questions. Thank you for everything you do, the watching, the likes, the shares, and of course, if you don't already do so, hit that subscribe button. I'm sure you already do if you're a regular here. I just appreciate all of that. But like I say, I'll probably do one of these maybe yearly, maybe bi-yearly, I don't know. Because there's so many of you sent questions in, and apologies for those that I didn't do. But again, I could be here all day, all week. Blimey, be some stream, wouldn't it? Anyway, live streaming, maybe in future, this could be a good thing to do for that. But anyway, I've been OGDuffy, you've been awesome as always, and thank you for these questions. I've really enjoyed it. Great nostalgia, revisiting all this great stuff that we're here for. Anyway, as always, this beer, Asahi Dry, is for you. Of course it is. You already knew that. I'll see you all on the next one.